We are delighted we have to talk about free thinking. Thought is an established human right, also widely known as freedom of conscience, allowing an individual to express their inner beliefs and thoughts freely, regardless of external compulsions from the government, the society, or any religion. Interestingly, this charisma was acquired throughout the years. Living in a community requires coexisting and sharing same opportunities for free thinking. Furthermore, every person is entitled to their beliefs accordingly. This concept is developed throughout the Bible, but Greek philosophers such as Plato and Socrates have discussed it too, given that freedom of thought is the cornerstone of democracy. Voltaire is considered to be the most prominent representative of free thinking, aiming to restrict superstitions, fight fanaticism of prejudices, and pinpoint scientific speech, etc. It is also worth pointing out that freedom of thought has had a great influence on the development in the fields of science and arts. It was the main principle of crucial scientific inventions as well as artistic creations, which nowadays are of significant value. However, achieving and sustaining this particular right has not always been an easy task. Dictatorships have threatened and suppressed freedom of speech many times in the past. Nevertheless, free thinking is sought by a lot of danger, like social media, which is a curse in disguise. Our co-workers in this long but fruitful journey of free thinking should be our mental capabilities as well as our free consciousness. We would like you to be aware of censorship and have in mind what Dryden said. Eros like stars upon the surface flow. He who would search for pearls must dive below.
Victor Hugo and the 25th Article of Human Rights. Article 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights outlines everyone's right to an adequate standard of living encompassing essentials like food, housing, medical care, and social services. It also ensures security in cases of unemployment, illness, disability, old age, or other situations that limit one's ability to earn a livelihood. As strange as it sounds, this article is directly connected to the one and only Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo was a famous writer and politician from France. Among his most famous works is The Hunchback of Notre Dame and The Miserables. In his writings, he advocates for social justice. Issues like inequality and human rights are central in his writings. He wants a decent life quality for all, with frequent referrals to the poor and marginalized people. This originates from his own hardships in life as a young person and him being in political exile for a long time. Themes like social justice, including access to safe food and housing, as well as access to healthcare, are well described in his masterpiece, The Miserables. The main characters of this work include poor, marginalized by society people. These people are often forced to commit crimes like stealing for food. Those crimes are harshly punished by the law representatives. The excellent description of a righteous person, Jean Valjean, harshly punished for stealing bread, is in fact a description of the Parisian society and its underworld in that age, a society that fails to uphold basic human needs. Victor Hugo delivered a speech to the National Assembly of France. He spoke about poverty and his vision for a society grounded in the right to exist for every person. An existence with dignity, with no poverty, and access to support for everyone, including the underprivileged people in the society. These beliefs are also being shown in the laws of Article 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In conclusion, by looking closer in Hugo's works, it is easy to understand that he included in every single one of them the right of all to exist. Again, this general idea of Victor Hugo directly relates to the rights listed in Article 25.
Why have property rights? They are one of the most crucial factors of today's democracies since they allow people to do whatever they want with their personal property. But what exactly are property rights? First, let's discuss about what is a property. A property is anything that somebody can own, for example, a building, a car, land, or even a pet. It does not need to be in material form though. A property can also be an idea or a creation. With property rights, an owner can ensure that his property is protected as well as use it, earn from it, transfer or trade it, and enforce property rights when they are broken. Any owner can protect their property with a variety of ways like patents and copyright. They protect inventions from being copied, sold or used in any other way without permission of the owner. Trademarks. It helps a company to ensure that their product or invention will not be copied by any other corporation or individual. But things were not always like that. Back in the day, the state and its leader, king or dictator, owned everything, and in some cases, including the civilians. Then how come we, regular citizens, have our own property that belongs to us without any leader having the right to take it away? For that, you have to thank the infamous English philosopher and physician John Locke, also known as the father of liberalism, one of Locke's most important works related to property. According to Locke, every person had some natural rights from the moment they were born, including liberty, life, and property. He suggested that every person is the owner of themselves and cannot be used by any other authority. His views stood against the nobles, which believed that they should not only own the people of their influence, but also decide what rights they could have. In Locke's opinion, every human owned everything that came out of their own hard labour, as well as their innovation and creation. Lastly, he was the one who created the term labour mixing, which meant that if any person used previously unclaimed land or object, could then make it their own property. As a result of the constant rise in freedom and liberty around the world, combined with the ideas of John Locke, humanity prevailed and property became a right.
Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights establishes movement as a human right. This means that you have the right to travel within your country and choose where to live. It also means that you have the right to leave your country and return if you want. However, governments may impose restrictions on the movement of people within the borders, such as banning them from leaving their village during a pandemic outbreak, or enforce them to leave their homes if, for example, they are threatened by any natural disaster, such as a hurricane, a typhoon, or a cyclone. Rights of internally displaced people. Internally displaced people have the right to move freely in and out of camps or other settlements. That principle, however, has not always been respected. Article 13 underlines the right to seek shelter in another part of the country and the right of internally displaced people to choose to go back to where they used to live or to settle in a place where they feel safe and comfortable. Displacement, one of the central issues of our time. At the end of 2017, 68.5 million people were forcibly displaced by war, conflict, and persecution, meaning that one person was displaced every 2 seconds. UN Women claim that 70 countries either do not allow women to move freely outside their homes, unlike their husbands, or have some social or cultural norms that are supposed to protect women. However, these norms actually force women to stay indoors every day and even forbid them to go to school. An individual who, via her art, contributed the legalization of liberal, both domestic and international movement was the British woman Barbara Hepworth. Undoubtedly, Barbara played a lead role for the world's art via her strong political and technological engagement. Moreover, her artwork, as during the 1940s, was mainly focused on the harmony that unity of figures and roles reflect. Indeed, many of these are composed of people working together to complete a task and served as a metaphor for what she thought was perfect society. A society where people get along with each other, have nothing to fight about, have equal rights, and are able to go anywhere they want without any restrictions.
Everyone, according to Article 14 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, also known as UDHR, has the right to seek and receive asylum in a foreign country if they are being persecuted. This right, however, cannot be enjoyed when the prosecution of an individual is lawful and not related to political ideals or goes against the purposes and principles of the United Nations. Principle 14 aims to protect and assist individuals seeking shelter from oppressive regimes who are unjustly mistreated by enabling them to seek asylum.
On the contrary, it also prevents the misuse of the privilege by prohibiting individuals who have committing genuine offenses from escaping the reach of the law.
René Cassin was a French jurist, diplomat and human rights advocate who played a critical role in the establishment of modern human rights. Best known for co-authoring the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which later he received the Nobel Prize for, and serving president for the Court of Human Rights, he dedicated his life to social justice.
Cassin, while fighting in the First World War, was severely wounded, a life-changing experience for him, which deeply influenced his lifelong commitment to peace and human rights. After the war, he became a leading advocate for war veterans working to improve social protections in France.
Cassin was a key figure in the drafting committee for the UDHR in 1948, helping to articulate universal principles of freedom, dignity and equality, heavily affected by the tragedies of the Second World War. He played a critical role in shaping Article 14, addressing the protection of individuals fleeing persecution.
Article 14 reflects Cassin's awareness on the need to protect refugees, particularly in the aftermath of the Holocaust and the displacement caused by World War II. He emphasized the need for international cooperation to safeguard asylum seekers. As a French Jew, he directly witnessed the destruction of the Holocaust and the widespread targeting of political dissidents and other minorities who had no safe haven in other countries.
Cassin also recognized the complexities of asylum, ensuring Article 14 included safeguards against abuse. The second clause excludes individuals who commit legitimate, non-political crimes or acts contrary to the principles of the United Nations, creating a balance between individual rights and international order. His work laid the foundation for later developments in international asylum law. Today, Article 14 remains a guiding principle for nations addressing refugee crisis, safeguarding those fleeing oppression.
The right to citizenship is a really important factor for a person's identity and connection to their country. According to the non-biblical scholar and Orientalist Paul Lagarde, citizenship is defined as the legal and political inclusion of a person in the population of a state. Citizenship is the foundation of an individual's sense of belonging and leads to the privilege of liberty and protection that foreigners cannot enjoy.
In practical terms, citizenship can be obtained in two ways, either by the law of blood or through the place of birth. Each country has different political views on citizenship and has therefore developed either hard or easy ways to obtain it. The privilege of being a citizen holds great significance for individuals globally, as it serves as a foundation for various other entitlements that are crucial for leading a typical life. Every citizen needs access to healthcare facilities, education, or a well-paid profession. Citizenship is the only thing that can make these needs possible for everyone. It also enables people to vote, voice their views, and help with the right decision that's needed to continue living a comfortable life.
When people are recognized as citizens, the government is able to understand their needs, provide them with assistance, and develop inclusive policies. Citizenship also offers people the comfort to express their self-beliefs, participate in government meetings, and hold their leaders accountable when needed. Without this crucial right, people are deprived of opportunities and freedom of movement.
One of the most influential advocates for the right of citizenship in Europe was Altiero Spinelli, an Italian commissioner who dedicated most of his life promoting his vision of a unified Europe. Born in 1907, Spinelli first started out as a communist and eventually focused on a vision of peace and cooperation across European borders.
Spinelli's commitment to the unity of Europe stemmed from his interest and belief that lasting peace could only be attained through efforts among nations. During his lifetime, Spinelli collaborated on the Ventotene Manifesto, a manuscript advocating for a united federation of European countries. Manifesto envisioned Europe as a continent where people would have citizenship in a broader sense, with no borders between the countries where someone was born or living. Spinelli's idea was in a way carried out when Europe slowly began to unite after the destruction of World War II. His concept of an identity played a crucial role in shaping the formation of the European Union. Due to Spinelli's work, countless Europeans are now able to experience the advantages of this expanded form of citizenship that fosters a feeling of solidarity and acceptance among nations.
Article 4 of the Human Rights Convention talks about the restraint on any kind of partial or total slavery.
This article was registered to the Greek law on the 11th of July 1975 after the downfall of the dictatorship in order to restore the democracy in the country, and it exists to this day.
Nowadays, the term slavery doesn't exist as we know, but in a different way.
It means that an employee can't work over the legal working hours.
Some other forms of modern slavery are human trafficking, which is the coercion of many acts such as forced labor, organ removal, criminality, and also forced prostitution.
One more, and also one of the worst, is child prostitution, and that is because underage people are being used for sexual actions from older people without their consent.
Moreover, nowadays many children are being forced to drop out of school in order to start working, even though it is not legal.
Toni Morrison, even though she was an American novelist, she had a great impact in Europe about this topic of slavery.
This happened because from her books she helped people raise awareness about this topic.
One of her novels that made a great impact is the one called Beloved.
That novel was published in 1987, and it talks about a black woman named Sith, who was a slave from the time she was born, but managed to escape.
Even though she escaped, in her mind she was prisoned from the trauma she had gained through that horrible experience.
What she said and made them realize the seriousness of this problem was the slaves usually didn't have any rights or free will.
Moreover, most of the times their names were taken and they didn't have any identity of their own.
From these things, she shows us that she was against this logic and that she would do anything to help people be discharged from this situation because it was not viable for anyone.
Do you know what makes us all equal? What if I told you that equality is not just a saying, but a human right that everyone deserves? In the past, not all people were allowed to go to the same school, walk on the same street, or even sit in the same seat on the bus. That was until Rosa Parks got tired of backing up.
Exactly. Rosa Parks made a difference in history on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. She denied to give up her spot to a white man even though the law said she should. This not only showed how brave she was, but also sparked a powerful movement against discrimination. By doing this small but important act, Rosa Parks was able to fight for equality and freedom for all, as it says in Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Every human being should be free and equal in rights from the moment of the birth.
Let's give a thought to it. Wouldn't it be fair if every person was treated equally and was given the same opportunities? Wouldn't the society be better if people treated one another fairly? If everyone had the right to make their own choices and was worthy of respect? In this kind of society, everyone could be free to express themselves without fear of rejection and discriminations.
And it's not just about legal freedom. The article also says we're endowed with reason and conscience. What does that mean? It means we can think about what we are doing, make decisions on our own, and tell whether something is right or wrong. This is significant because it shows us that we can behave in a way that respects the freedom and rights of others.
Rosa Parks was aware of that. Even though society was against her rights, she had the right to be treated fairly with respect just like everyone else. So she stood up, or rather sat down for her rights.
What Rosa did reminds us that no matter who we are or where we come from, we all deserve respect and equal rights. Article 1 isn't just a statement, it's an encouragement to create an environment where everyone is treated fairly and with esteem.
So if you ever witness someone being treated unfairly, consider the act of Rosa Parks. How about we raise awareness by acting with thought, with consciousness and dignity? We can all help make a difference. According to Article 1,
everyone is free from the moment of their birth
and has the same rights and deserves the same dignity.
And all as one, we can assure that freedom and equality becomes true for everybody.
Hello, my name is Artemis, and together with Akrivi, we're going to talk to you about Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which refers to freedom of expression and exchange of information. So let's go back a few centuries and let me introduce you to Voltaire, who was the one that originally came up with that idea. During Voltaire's time, this right was severely degraded. Nevertheless, he still managed to support his opinion, as he firmly believed that it would be crucial for the development of critical thinking, which would inevitably lead to the amelioration of society. As a result, his beliefs affected philosophy greatly and became foundation to the contemporary human rights, as well as he inspired many other artists.
Hello, I'm Akrivi. One of many good examples is George Orwell, an author and journalist who has primarily worked on this topic. His most known works consist of 1984 and The Farm, in which he criticizes authoritarianism and totalitarian regimes, concluding that freedom of speech and expression is of paramount importance to avoid violation of human rights in general. In conclusion, we believe that the right to freedom of expression and exchange of information is a beacon to democratic societies such as ours. It allows us to express our opinions and beliefs freely while also preventing political corruption. In addition, it enables our communities to become more innovative and grow, as well as protect the rights of minority groups which might be facing unfair discrimination.
Hello again, it's me. So, after giving you all necessary information regarding Article 19, I would also like to recite a poem that I wrote myself, inspired by the freedom of expression and exchange of information. Freedom of speech, they call it, I suppose, but they don't hear any words that are opposed. Considering only what they think is ideal, though it never turns out to be a good idea. We need to speak, let the thoughts be heard, and not be silenced by dread. That's the only way the word will reach the peak. Silence be broken, let freedom of thought prevail.